Hi everyone, back with another live stream. And I think I will wait a few moments for people to join. And yeah, let's just wait for a few moments. It's 8 p.m. here in Madison, Wisconsin. That's Central Time. And this is February the 5th and slightly different time than my usual 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. I wanted to do my live stream a little earlier in the evening today. And what I really want to talk about is um, sad news. King Charles, King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer, and that popped up as a breaking news on my phone, and I was just reading about it. King Charles diagnosed with cancer. I'm very sorry to hear that. I saw the news and it really struck me. It's very sad news, and there's a reason why I am talking about it today. Obviously, I want to send my prayers and good wishes to King Charles for his, uh, return to good health. And I'll get to my point a little later, but let me just tell you first. Previously known as Prince Charles, for most of my life so far, I have, whenever I thought about him, I thought about Prince Charles, but now obviously he is King Charles the Third, and he has been diagnosed with cancer. And the Buckingham Palace also said that the king has started his treatment. King Charles is 75 years old. It has not been 2 years yet since he became the king, and now he has been diagnosed with cancer. So, my friends, this is the reality of life. The reality is uncertainty. That's the reality. When you talk about reality, what's reality? The uncertainty in life is the reality. There are many people who get diagnosed with cancer every day. Cancer impacts the lives of many people in the United States and around the world. And when a person is diagnosed with cancer, that diagnosis doesn't just affect the person, the patient, but it affects the person's family, friends, and loved ones also. When a family finds out that one of the members is diagnosed with cancer, the family can feel devastated, and so it can completely change lives, not just the life of the person who has been diagnosed with cancer, but the lives of those around that person. And I know people who have defeated cancer, and also those whose lives were taken away by cancer. And that's the uncertainty that we suffer from. And cancer is not the only, illness. There are so many other illnesses that people suffer from, that have tremendous impacts on their lives and the lives of people around them. So the news of King Charles's cancer diagnosis was made public because he's a king. So it's breaking news all over the world, and he's one of the most prominent figures in the world. Obviously, there's no doubt about that. But there are so many people in this world who get diagnosed with cancer, but they suffer silently. Their diagnosis doesn't make it to the news. They are everyday people like us. Their friends and families watch them suffer, and some continue to live by getting treatment and making lifestyle changes, but not everyone wins that battle. And so the news of King Charles's cancer diagnosis made me think about life in general. Life is uncertain. We make plans, we have schedules, we have goals, but there are variables in our lives that we cannot control. And that's uncertainty. There are many things that are beyond our control. If you ask me, I would say everything is beyond our control. I know my YouTube channel is about social and political issues, domestic and international, but at the end of the day, we have to also think about the philosophical and the spiritual aspects of human life. We are here on this earth, and each person has a purpose. That's what I believe. We all have a purpose. And there's a reason why we are here. We are always here on this earth. We are here on this earth to try to make the world a better place for everyone. And we do it in our own ways. We all have different skills and different talents. We all should have, I think, the willingness to be of service. We have to be willing to help others. So I read about King Charles's diagnosis, and I thought that there are so many others in this world who are suffering because of cancer and other illnesses. Some get the treatment that they need, and others are perhaps not that lucky. Many suffer from illnesses, and they just suffer or they pass away because they don't have access to the treatment that they need. And there are people around us always who need help. Can we help them? Do we have the ability to help them? Can we do something for those around us? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. And as I said, life is full of uncertainties. The news of King Charles's cancer diagnosis comes as a shock, but then in our personal lives, we get many shocking news. And we have to be humble, and we have to deal with the challenges as the challenges approach us. As I said, things are beyond our control, but we always have to be grateful for what we have. We have to try to make the world a better place for everyone. So I hope and pray that King Charles recovers, and I hope and pray that all those around us and around the world who are suffering from diseases and illnesses, I hope they can find a way to recovery and good health. I care about people, and that's why I am so vocal. Now, let me tell you. Let me look at the chat window here. Terry gives me a thumbs up. Billy, Billy, I can see your comments. I'm actually getting to the point. I'm going to talk about something here. The reason I talk about illegal immigration issue is because I see that there's widespread injustice taking place, and I want the injustice to stop. When I see that homeless Americans are left behind because the dollars are going towards the migrants, that's unfair. We cannot abandon our own people. We cannot abandon our fellow Americans by giving away money to others. And if illegal immigration continues, no one's going to gain. See, that's the whole point I'm trying to make. That, we have to help people, but helping people doesn't mean that we're not going to help those who are close to us, those who are around us. And we have to help the American people first. So the dollars that the illegal immigrants are getting, that's temporary. What's going to happen when the money runs out? That's my question. Then we are all going to be poor. The illegal immigrants are going to be poor, and the Americans will also become poor. And there's going to be widespread poverty if we continue to be on the path that we are on as a country. And that's what I'm worried about. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I say what I say. And that's why I'm so vocal. And then when I read about King Charles today, I thought, well, life is uncertain. No one knows when someone will become sick. He became the king not too long ago, and now he has to fight cancer. It's not easy. So as a country, we have dreams, we have goals, we have objectives, but then we are facing challenges. Since 2021, the border crisis has been the biggest challenge that we are facing as a country. How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to address it? Just as a person needs treatment, our country also needs a solution to the problem that we are facing. And we have to help our fellow Americans. I'm sure that King Charles is going to get the best possible treatment, but the rest depends on God. I will keep praying for him. And this element of uncertainty that affects us each and every moment of our life. That's the reality. And, I want to make sure that I'm using my voice to talk about the things that need to be talked about. And I want to use my voice to spread the truth, to do something that helps bring about justice. I want to use my voice to fight injustice. And when I see our fellow Americans suffering, they're homeless, they're not getting the medical help they need, they're not getting the food that they need, they're not getting the shelter that they need. When I see all of that, and when I see the injustice by the people on the left who are giving away our money to others, well, that's not helping anyone. That's not helping anyone. What that's doing is it's making the Americans poor, but it's not making the migrants rich. At the end of the day, if we continue to be on the path that we are on, then there's going to be widespread poverty. And so who could have thought, when I talk about uncertainty, let me ask you, who could have thought back in 2019, the country was doing so well? Who could have thought that in just a few years we would be facing the crisis that we face? So the uncertainty that human beings face in their personal lives, we also face uncertainty as a country. We also face uncertainty as a population, as a nation. My friends, I have personally accepted uncertainty, and that's why when I make plans deep in my mind, I whisper and say, God willing. This is how my mind works. If I tell someone I'll be there next week to attend that meeting, and then in my mind I keep saying God willing, because we have no control over our lives, as we can see from the incidents, from the events around us. Things are beyond our control, but we have to have the willingness to make this world a better place, and we have to act on that willingness. We have to perform, we have to take action, and we must continue to have faith and do good, and we have to do good for others, and the others, the people around us. So my friends, a little bit of a different live stream, I guess, tonight. I was pretty exhausted most of the day, and I saw this news. I kept thinking about King Charles and all the other people who are suffering from different illnesses, and the people I personally know who have different health issues that they are dealing with. And I'm thinking about our future as a country. How do we overcome the challenges? How do we overcome the barriers that we face? And I just decided, well, I'm going to just do a live stream and talk about what's in my mind, what's in my heart. So thank you all for tuning in. I don't see a lot of engagement in the live chat window today. And that may be because obviously I picked a different time slot than my usual time slot. So people mostly expect me at 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. But I wanted to do this episode, do this live stream a little earlier because after this I will get some rest. I'll read a book. I've already had dinner. There's a book that I really want to read, and I just haven't been able to do that. So I think I'll spend the next hour just reading a book. It's a very good book, actually. It's let me show it to you. It's The Pole by J.M. Kadzia. I got it from the local library. J.M. Kadzia, a great writer, winner of the Nobel Prize, and I read his novel Waiting for the Barbarians, and I just became a fan. If you have not read that book, if you are a reader, uh, let me just see what Terry writes. Terry writes, you have a deep philosophical argument here tonight. It takes more than chat to discuss. Absolutely. I understand, Terry. I understand. Thank you for mentioning that. And as I was talking, I was thinking, well, does it make sense what I'm saying? Does it make sense, or is it just haphazard? But Terry, based on the comment that you wrote, I'm happy to see that you're understanding the significance of what I'm trying to say. Maybe if I wrote it down, maybe if I wrote an essay on it, I'd be able to explain it in a much better way. But I think in terms of communicating, what I have to say, the live stream or a video or an audio works much better because there are more viewers and listeners out there than there are readers. That's what I think. So I wanted to discuss it in a live stream rather than writing it in words and putting it on my blog. So yeah, as I was saying, I read Waiting for the Barbarians by J.M. Coetzee. I read it more than once. I actually read it more than twice, maybe 3 times. And I'm just reading what Terry wrote. I understand you. Thank you, Terry. Thanks for understanding. And you mentioned the liberals, Terry. So let me just elaborate a little bit more. The liberals, the left-wing politicians, they pretend like they're helping. They pretend like they're helping. They're giving resources to those in need. They're giving food and shelter and vouchers and this and that to the migrants, and they act kind. But when you pay attention, you see that there's a lot of injustice behind that act of supposed kindness. If you are taking resources away from the American homeless and other American citizens who need food, who need shelter, if you're taking resources away from them, then you're really not being fair. And you're giving it to foreign nationals who have just arrived. And, there has to be a boundary. That's why boundaries exist, because we cannot help the whole world. We can try to help the whole world by promoting a message of freedom and peace and prosperity. But at the end of the day, the reality, the physical reality, the material reality is that we are a country, we have an economy, we have resources, we have a currency, and we can't just hand money out to anyone and everyone who comes to the United States by crossing the southern border. So, Terry, I know you understand this, and I'm glad you do, and thanks for writing what you wrote in the chat window, and that's what I'm trying to present here, that to be fair, to be just, we have to help people, and we have to help those around us, and we have to focus on the people of our country, the people in our neighborhoods who are needy, the people in our city who need housing, who need clothes, who need food. We have to help the people in our state. So if we all make a commitment that we are going to be of service, we are going to help the people around us, then we can make this country a better place. And if we have a strong country, then we can promote a message of peace and prosperity to other countries. And we do, as a country, we give a lot of foreign aid. We do a lot of generous things, but we cannot bring millions and millions of people into our country, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, in a single day, just pouring into our country. And then we are making ourselves poor by giving away what we have. And that's not going to help them in the long run. That's not going to help the migrants, and that's not going to help us. So then we're just spreading poverty. And so let's look at the window. We can just help them gain their own democracy in their own country. Absolutely, there are ways we can help other countries, but just bringing people in like this through a way that's not legal, just opening the border and allow people to walk in, that's not okay. And back to uncertainty again. Who could have thought back in 2018, back in 2019, the economy was doing so well, everything was heading in the right direction. Who could have thought that in 2021 a crisis will start? And in 2022, the crisis will get worse. In 2023, the crisis will get even worse. And in 2024, the crisis will be ongoing, and it just keeps getting worse every single day. And so, just as we have uncertainty in our personal life, as a nation, there's uncertainty. Go back to 2018, 2019. No one could have imagined that we would be seeing this today. We would be seeing the border crisis and the migrant crisis in cities across the country. But here we are, facing the reality, and it's not a pleasant reality. But then, as I keep saying, we cannot give up hope, and we have to be willing. We have to be willing. We have to be willing to address the problems, and that's why we have to secure the border and stop this influx of illegal immigrants. Terry writes, exactly. If people are disrespecting our country's laws, how can they expect respect in return? Terry, good point. Good point. And I mentioned this in a previous live stream, that our country is like our home. It's our home. Just as you have a home, you live in an apartment, you live in a house or a condo, that's your home. And, people can come in with your permission, but they can't just come in without your permission. And so our country is our home. And like I said, the liberals will try to, when you talk about securing the border, the far left politicians will call us unkind, will call us immigrant unfriendly. We're not. And that's why I highlight the statistics all the time. I say our country grants permanent residency to 1 million people every year. And hundreds of thousands become naturalized US citizens every year. And that happens because we are a welcoming country. We welcome immigrants, but there must be a process. What's happening at the southern border? That's chaos. That's disorder. That's lawlessness. And so those who disrespect, like Terry said, those who disrespect our country's laws, how can they expect respect in return? So, I actually published a video earlier this evening. I don't know if you watched it. In that video, I said people will have to pay attention to not only the candidates for federal offices, but also candidates for local and state offices. Local government is more important than ever before. And let me give you this example, and I discussed this in that video, but I'm going to share with you here that example. Mayor Eric Adams is fueling the crisis in New York by continuing to keep the sanctuary city label and by continuing to push for more dollars for the migrants. Same in Chicago. Brandon Johnson, local elected government official. He's taking taxpayer dollars, giving it away to the migrants. But look at El Paso County in Colorado. El Paso County in Colorado. When there were reports that some migrants entered the city, the El Paso County Board of Commissioners, they did a press conference and they publicly said that El Paso County, Colorado, will not be a sanctuary county. And that is the kind of response I expect from local government officials across the country. And not only did the El Paso County Board of Commissioners say that El Paso County is not going to be a sanctuary county, they also urged a local nonprofit, a nonprofit that's helping the migrants. The county commissioners urged the local nonprofit to not welcome this crisis by welcoming the migrants, because that's what it's going to be. If the migrants see that there are resources in El Paso County, there's a nonprofit, there's a government agency, whatever, that's providing shelter, that's giving money, that's providing food, that's providing, all kinds of services, then that will attract more people to El Paso County. So the county commissioner said, nope, not happening in El Paso County. And, That's why through my channel, I just want to highlight this. I want to highlight the strong decisions, the firm position of the El Paso County Board of Commissioners in Colorado, and what they did, that press conference, it set a great example. And that's what other local elected officials should do. And that's why I say local government is so important. I mean, the border crisis, obviously, it's a federal issue. The Biden administration, federal government, they caused this problem. And so people may naturally think that, oh, if they caused the problem, they should be able to fix it or they should seal the border. Well, they are not doing it. But at the same time, the local government entities in sanctuary communities like New York City and Chicago, they by giving incentives to illegal immigrants, they are encouraging more illegal immigration. And that's where I think local leadership can be strong and can say, not going to happen in our community. We're not going to welcome migrants. We're not going to give them resources. And we are asking local nonprofits to not fuel this crisis. If you let the migrants stay, if you provide them all kinds of services, they are going to keep coming. So don't do it, because resources are limited. Set the resources aside for the homeless in the community, American homeless people, veterans, children in poverty, senior citizens who are alone at home, suffering in isolation. They need home delivered meals. Help them out, because resources are limited. And so let me check the chat window. And Terry, thank you so much for your comments and your thoughts. I appreciate that. NGOs are so NGOs, non-governmental organizations, they have an important role to play. They have such an important role to play. They can either be symbols of prosperity and freedom, and they can say that no, as an NGO, we're a charitable organization, we're going to help people, but we also understand no matter how big pot of money we have, it's still limited, and we are going to prioritize the people in our community, American citizens who need help, people who are part of our community, the homeless, the children, the senior citizens, young adults who need help, working adults, who lost their jobs, families who are struggling. We should help them. Terry writes, yep. Also, it's like the community as a whole will have to have a firm stance. There has to be unity in the community, and I saw that unity based on the news reports. I saw that unity in El Paso County. There were El Paso County commissioners, and there was also a city council member from Colorado Springs City Council who was there. Now, I don't know if the local nonprofits are going to listen to what the county commissioner said, or the nonprofits are going to help out the migrants anyway. I don't know. But do you know how the migrants got to El Paso County? No one has a clear answer, but I read somewhere in a news report that Denver, and a government agency in Denver has been providing bus passes. And so when the migrants in Denver, and I just saw a few days ago, I saw a news article headline that Denver is reaching a breaking point because of the pressure, because of the massive influx of migrants. So if Denver is thinking that they're going to hand out bus passes and encourage people to go to El Paso County, well, El Paso County made it clear that migrants are not going to get taxpayer dollars in El Paso County. So I'm glad that that's the response that the El Paso County commissioners had. And so once again, going back to what I was saying, local government is so very important. Having said that, I see we are reaching the 30-minute mark, but I see that more people have joined also. And so let's see what the comments are. There are laws on the books helping illegal immigrants must amend. Yeah, so I see a comment here from Maya Sisters. There are and the viewer writes, there are laws on the books helping illegal immigrants. Must amend laws. Some nonprofits lose 501c3 status if helping illegals. No state or federal funds if help illegals. So, okay, I'm going to be saying a few more things. There are some shocking things happening in our country which we could have never imagined. Um, Mayors of five big cities, and let me see if I can remember the five big cities: New York, Chicago, Denver. There were two more cities I'm forgetting. Mayors of five big cities in the last few months reached out to the Biden administration asking for billions of dollars to help the migrants in their communities. And it's just mind boggling how high profile local elected officials from big cities can even make a request like that. When you have homeless Americans, when you have so many other people I mentioned, seniors, children, Americans who are suffering, who have mental health problems, who are suffering because of drug addiction, who want to find a stable path to recovery. They need help. They need food. They need medical supplies. When you have so many needs among the American population, how can these mayors publicly ask for billions of dollars for the migrants? And those are the people who just got here by disrespecting our laws, as Terry mentioned, disrespecting our laws. And they came here, and these mayors, they are forgetting who they represent. They represent the American people. American people vote in elections, and they elect these officials. And these officials ask for billions of dollars, not for the American people, but for the undocumented immigrants. And that's why I say that if we continue to be on this path, then the migrants are not going to get rich, but we're going to definitely be poor. And so, everyone's going to be poor except for maybe some super wealthy individuals. And so this has to stop. And should nonprofits that help illegal immigrants, should they face legal consequences? That's a good question, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. If an NGO is using federal funds or state funds to help illegal immigrants, I'm not a lawyer. I haven't done research on this particular topic. So if you have knowledge, if you have expertise on it, please share with me. Share with me. I want to know, are there any laws on the books that would penalize a nonprofit organization if they help illegal immigrants? Let's see. My sister's writes, follow the money, someone's getting rich. Yeah, I read your comment here, and I'm going to be saying a few more things. So Maya Sisters writes, follow the money, someone getting rich off migrants. Okay. So all these dollars, and the more questions and comments you write, the more I get energized. So now I'm really energized, and I'm going to say more things. All these dollars that are being allocated and spent. We hear Chicago City Council, they did, I think it was last year, they did what, 50 whatever, tens of millions of dollars they allocated for the migrants. And then you see a few million here, a few million there, and millions there, millions there. We hear millions for the migrants, 2.4 billion. That's what Kathy Hochul in New York, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, that's how much she wants to allocate to help the migrants, 2.4 billion. That was in her proposal, budget proposal. So we hear all these figures, 50 million, 10 million, 20 million, 5 million, 2.4 billion. How does it actually get spent? I mean, does each and every single dollar buy food or clothes or medical services? Is there any kind of an audit happening? If a New York City resident goes to the city council and asks the council to basically present a document showing the details of how the money is being spent, how much in salaries for the bureaucrats who are in charge of overseeing the migrant issue, how much are the contractors getting, how much is actually being spent directly on food, on clothes. Are there any reports? Is there any accounting? Barb writes, is there any accounting? Barb, what you wrote is exactly what I said at the same time. I think it happened in the same moment. Is there any accounting? Can anyone show the books? Like, okay, here's $50 million that the council allocated, and this is how much was spent on staff salaries. This is how much was spent on transportation, electricity, whatever, water bill, migrant tent construction, food. I mean, people should ask for these numbers. As they say, the devil's in the details. So we need to see the details. And this is a widespread problem. So I think people should start demanding answers. Okay, let me see some comments here. Yeah, the Terry mentions the free credit cards. I talked about it. The migrants are being given, this is according to a pilot program, the migrants are getting, in New York City, prepaid credit cards to go buy food and baby supplies. And they have to sign an affidavit, basically saying that they are going to use the prepaid cards only for food and baby supplies and not for anything else. And those cards can then be used at bodegas and convenience stores and shops and other places. So you're asking individuals who violated our nation's immigration laws and entered the country illegally, you're asking them to sign an affidavit promising that they will spend the funds on just food and baby supplies. I mean, so how can you believe in that affidavit? How can you believe in their promise when the very first thing they did to enter the United States is to cross the border without permission, without authorization, without a visa? And so what happens if somebody signs an affidavit, if a migrant signs an affidavit saying that, and I don't even know what the affidavit, what the language on the affidavit is. So I'm assuming the affidavit is basically a document that makes the migrants promise that they'll only spend the money on food and baby supplies. What if there's a violation? What if the migrant uses the card to buy something that's not food, that's not baby supplies? What are the consequences? I mean, they haven't faced consequences for crossing the border illegally. They are being rewarded. The migrants are being rewarded for crossing the border illegally. Instead of facing legal consequences, instead of being deported, they are getting taxpayer-funded benefits. And so what happens when a migrant signs an affidavit but then goes on to violate the terms written in the affidavit, spends the money on something that's not food, that's not baby supplies? I mean, is New York City going to crack down on these violations? They are not cracking down on illegal immigration. They are not even asking the Biden administration to stop the influx of migrants. The only thing that sanctuary cities ask for, the only thing that Brandon Johnson and Eric Adams and other liberals, they ask the Biden administration for, is more money. They ask for more money, but they don't ask the Biden administration to secure the border. They're not saying, Mr. Biden, please secure the border and stop this influx. New York can't handle it. Chicago can't handle it. Denver cannot handle it. Denver's at a breaking point. They don't say that. They just say, oh, we need more money because we're getting so many migrants. And they ask Texas governor to not send the migrants. Eric Adams and Brandon Johnson and their administration, they impose rules and regulations on migrant buses, but they don't say, hey, Greg Abbott is trying to combat illegal immigration. We stand with Greg Abbott. Eric Adams doesn't say that. Brandon Johnson doesn't say that. The mayor of Denver isn't saying that. If they really think that the migrant crisis is creating problems, then Eric Adams, Brandon Johnson, these people should publicly say that we support Greg Abbott's efforts to secure the border, and we demand the Biden administration to secure the border. But I'm not seeing that. I'm just hearing that they want more money for the migrants. So where does this end? Terry writes, released without bail. Exactly, Terry. That's what happened. The migrants who were arrested for allegedly, Terry, we discussed allegedly previously, right, in the live stream. The migrants who were arrested for allegedly, caught on video, allegedly attacking New York City police officers, they were released from jail without bail. And so, are the migrants facing any consequences? First, they break the laws, they come into the country, they don't face consequences. They get free food, free housing, no consequences. Now they are being given prepaid cards. If they violate the terms of the affidavit, will there be consequences? I don't know. I'll let you guess. And that's why the American people are so frustrated. They are so upset. They want change. And that's why I keep saying it's not just about the presidential election. Yes, we want Donald Trump. We want Donald Trump in office. In 2025, I would love to see him being sworn in as the president. But we also have to pay attention to local politics, local elections, statewide elections. It's because of Gavin Newsom that California continues to be a sanctuary state. It's because of J.B. Pritzker that Illinois continues to be a sanctuary state. But look at Texas. Texas is the leader. Texas is setting an example. Texas is fighting illegal immigration. And that's the job of federal government. But the federal government is not doing its job. The Biden administration is not doing its job. So Greg Abbott is saying, I'll do it. We have to protect the people of Texas, the people of America. So Greg Abbott is fighting to secure the border. And Republican governors are united and they are supporting Greg Abbott. Sorry, that was my phone. And so, we just have to wait and see. We have to wait and see what happens next. Terry writes, Trump and all those potential VPs here looking at the, let's see. Trump and all those potential VPs, he's looking at the head of. Yep. So obviously, Donald Trump, we know that during his first term, he picked a great cabinet, but then things didn't go the way he wanted. There were changes that he had to make in his cabinet. He had to remove people from their appointed positions. He had to bring in new people. There were some personnel issues. We know that. He fired folks. He hired, he appointed new people. And so, in government, things run very slowly. And so, one presidential term is just 4 years. By the time Trump, found the people that he really needed and he was moving things forward properly, his term ended. And then came Biden, and then, everything just went in the wrong direction. And so going forward, I think Donald Trump has to be very, very, what's the right word? He has to make sure that he's choosing the right people. And that starts with choosing the vice presidential candidate. Who is he going to pick? He mentioned two names. There are lots of names that are being discussed. Different people have different analysis, different speculations. Some talk about Ellie Stefanik. Some talk about Ron DeSantis. Trump mentioned the name of Kristi Noem, South Dakota governor. And I know Terry's going to be happy. Terry is happy, right? Terry? South Dakota governor, Kristi Noem. She's just such a wonderful governor. I think she's going to be great. And then Tim Scott. Trump mentioned Tim Scott, U.S. Senator from South Carolina. And I'm talking about these names just because Trump mentioned. So Tim Scott, Kristi Noem are two candidates on his list. And yeah, Terry just also mentioned Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia. I think Glenn Youngkin's a great governor. He's a great governor. Is he going to be the pick? I don't know. I mean, the way he won that election, the gubernatorial race in Virginia, that was amazing. That was amazing. That I remember that when the election results came out. It was just wonderful. The fact that Republicans won that governor's seat in Virginia. That was energizing. That was a strong message, not just for Virginia, but for the rest of the country that, if you work hard, you can do it. So if he picks Glenn Youngkin, that's fine. And Terry writes, anybody Trump picks is fine by me. Yeah, I have confidence in Trump that he's going to pick the right person. Now, is it going to be somebody from the list of names already being discussed, or is it going to be somebody who no one is talking about? That is also possible. That is also very, very possible. Maybe Trump has somebody in mind and he has not even mentioned the name even once. That's possible. In politics, you never know what's going to happen. And that's why, we just have to wait and see. No matter how people predict, how they speculate, how they make suggestions, we never know who's going to be the VP candidate. But I know that Trump is going to make the right decision. I have full confidence in him. And furthermore, after going through what he did, after going through what he went through during his first term, all the issues that he had, with different cabinet secretaries and, not appointing the perfect person for the job. And so he had to make frequent changes. After going through that, I think he's going to appoint the right people. He's going to come up with the proper list, the list that he needs to govern in the way that he wants. And so that's still in the future. We have to make sure that, obviously, I'm going to vote for Trump. So, conservatives, we have to make sure that we elect Trump. Let's look at the chat window. Maya Sisters writes, must pick someone who can help win swing states. Absolutely. The swing states are so important. Talk about Michigan. Talk about, Wisconsin. Talk about, Nevada, Arizona. These are important states. And so we definitely have to win, somebody who can help unite the Republicans. And unity is already there in the party. And I say that because, we saw when the presidential cycle started that there was some division, right? There were Republicans who were strongly for Trump. There were others who wanted Ron DeSantis. Some wanted Vivek Ramaswamy. Some wanted Tim Scott. Some wanted you know, other folks. And now still we see some division because there are some strong supporters of Nikki Haley, and then there are those who are supporting Trump. But as soon as DeSantis endorsed Trump, I bet that most of those DeSantis supporters are now going to support Trump. When Vivek endorsed Trump, Vivek supporters, most of them would go towards Trump. Tim Scott gave a wonderful endorsement for Trump. And so I think people who are supporting Tim Scott, they are going to support Trump. And so, little by little, we are seeing the party unite a great deal, but we still need to make sure that the VP candidate is someone who can help win the swing states. We need somebody who can unite, and that's very important. Who is it going to be? I don't know, but that means that as more names pop up, if they do, I'm going to be discussing those names on my YouTube channel, so please stay connected with me. Let's see. Terry writes, Wisconsin is a swing state, looking redder every day. Yeah, Wisconsin is primarily a red state. I think it is a red state, but you have, as you know, Terry, you know the politics of Wisconsin very well. You know that these liberal heavy counties like Dane and Milwaukee and some other college towns, these can, depending on how the turnout is, these can really switch. Who wins? Swing. That's why it's a swing state. But it is redder every day. And I think as people suffer from inflation and as they see this border crisis hurting not just, New York, Chicago, other places, but it's hurting, all the states actually. In Wisconsin, we have illegal immigration problems. Whitewater has been in the news. I'm not going into the details because that's going to be a long discussion. But, Whitewater has been in the news. Whitewater, a city in Wisconsin, it has been in the news because there are lots of migrants who moved into Whitewater. And there are other communities that are seeing influx. Some are seeing a more strong influx. Some are seeing a mild trickle. But people are moving, undocumented immigrants, into Wisconsin too. So as Wisconsinites see these problems, they are going to likely vote red. They are going to likely vote Republican. And so, Terry, you're right. It's a swing state, but it's becoming redder as time goes by. But it all depends on the turnout. On the day of the election, are people going to go out and vote? It's very important. Let's see. Yep. So I'm trying to, as I keep saying, the live chat window keeps vanishing. All right. So I guess that's it for now. We're at the 53-minute mark. Do you have more things you want to discuss? Let's see. Since I have more people joining here, is there anything else I need to talk about? I guess that should be it. Just I want to say wishing good health and speedy recovery to King Charles. No one should have to suffer from cancer, and I hope we find a cure. I hope we find a cure soon. And Terry writes, yeah, allegedly time for my bed. Okay, Terry, allegedly I'm going to end this live stream now. So thank you for joining. Thank you for staying connected. Please help me spread my message. Ask your friends, ask your family members, ask your neighbors to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please tune in for my live stream. Please watch my videos. And if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up, and then share the video. Share it. Email the link to a friend, or share the video on Facebook, on Twitter. Help me spread my message. I appreciate it. Thank you once again, my friends. 54 minutes, almost 55 minutes. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for staying connected, and I'll be back again with another live stream, more videos, more commentary. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.